Yeah, this is Liam H from the Prodigy, and you're listening to the Capsule podcast on liveinlimbo.com. Keep it locked.
This is Capsule on liveinlimbo.com. My name is Sean Chin.
And I am Andreas Babiolakis. This is an adventure into music, film, and pop culture.
How's it going, Andreas?
Pretty good. I just woke up, so if I sound really out of it, that is why. But I am awake, I am here, and I am good.
And it's a fine Saturday morning.
Yes, it is, actually. I just went to go see Godspeed You Black Emperor last night, which was one of my bucket list bands to see because they're one of my all-time favorites. And I saw them with my girlfriend Victoria, and it was, if I can suggest a risky date night, take your significant other to go see Godspeed. It's romantic. It's very moving. It was a great idea.
Why risky?
Because Godspeed's not for everybody. Not everybody's into like the whole noisy, instrumental, cataclysmic, apocalyptic kind of music, But if your significant other is open enough to take in this kind of experience and go to a concert that's not like a concert you dance to, but one that you kind of take in as an environment, then yeah, it's a great idea.
Awesome. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that concert that you went to last night. I got the iPhone 6S, which is great. And
Cool.
We're going to talk about the Polaris Prize winner. The Pope is going to make an album. And then we'll get to your awesome interview at Riot Fest with the Prodigy. So,
yes.
Let me get my moment here for a second. So you haven't been on the show for a while, but you have computer issues. But right now you're going through the phone, so it sounds okay right now. So that's good. I got the iPhone 6S, 64 gigabytes, and it now has 2 gigs of RAM, so Live in Limbo can be run remotely even better than before.
That is good news, yes.
However, I think I got the wrong color this time. I got the gold one, but as you know, there's a rose gold one, and it's kind of pinkish, but now there's like a trend going on, and it's called #BrosGold. Apparently, a lot of guys are getting this now. What are your thoughts?
I guess that's okay. I didn't know there was a trend, but I guess because I didn't know there was a trend, I'll just input my actual personal experiences here. I'm a guy, and my favorite colors are purple, and one of my favorite colors, along with that, is pink. But my all-time favorite color is purple. But I've gotten a lot of flack with that over the years because of how that questions masculinity or whatever.
I don't think so. I like salmon. Salmon's a great color.
Yeah, to me, a color doesn't... First of all, even if it matches your personality, why does it matter? We're in a year where that kind of thing doesn't matter. If it dictates your preference sexually, if it dictates who you are as a person, I don't think there's a problem with that at all. So I don't see why that's even the course of an insult. Secondly, I don't think colors affect that. I think you can like a color and it's just for that reason.
Yeah, like how can a color mean like something outside of just being a color?
That's why I like the rainbow being used for the LGBT movement, because it isn't about a single color. It's about humanity and all of these different ideas and concepts being brought into one. So I like that being used as as a notion of unity rather than a singular color. Like, um, I guess like a lot of those ribbons used for like AIDS awareness or breast cancer,
Yeah.
they're single colors, but that makes more sense because there's a bunch of ribbons. They're symbolic in their own way. But with this, when it comes to humanity and preference, it's nice that it wasn't a single color. So
But
you couldn't see
also like when you think about it, kind of colors are just different wavelengths. Different animals will see that pink as a different color. It's not even
exactly
an actual color. It's just a wavelength.
exactly. It's your own perception of it. So there's I don't get what the big deal is. And to me personally, I've always said this, and now I guess I'm saying this in an episode. If you feel that a color dictates who you are or your preference and you're scared to like a color because of what it might represent, I'm sorry, you've lost to marketing. 'Cause that's exactly what it is. We forget that pink was considered a boy's color before it was considered a girl's color,
Yeah.
so there's absolutely no concept or depth within fearing or making fun of other people for colors. So if guys want to get that rose gold one that you were saying, so be it. Let them. It's 2015. Colors are things that people like. They're not things to bully people over. So
I'm
good.
totally second guessing myself now. I kind of wish I want one. I got one.
Which one did you get?
I got the regular gold, the champagne gold.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up what this looks like. I'm gonna look up on my computer
It
actually.
actually, it's not like super pink. It's called rose gold. It kind of looks like a darker gold, but at certain angles, it does look pink.
That sounds interesting to me. I'm totally cool with
Yeah,
that.
I know. I wish I got that. Maybe next year for the 7. Anyways, have you checked out Live in Limbo's upcoming events tab? It's powered by Ontario Live Music now. So usually every month I would have to go into the database, remove last month, and then input the next month's like list of shows with the dates and the artists and the venues. Now it automatically generates by itself. And Sarah Ricks, our music editor, actually works there too, so that's kind of how it happened. But anyone can input that widget on their website if they want. It's pretty cool. It tells you like which day the artist and how much the tickets are, and you can actually buy the tickets from there. And I
Well,
don't
that
need to
sounds
do
pretty
any
cool.
work.
That sounds pretty cool and quite useful actually. I just looked up the rose gold now. I think it looks awesome. I would have gotten that.
Why didn't I get it? Mind you, I did wake up
Ooh.
at 2:58 a.m. and I wasn't thinking properly.
When was this again?
I ordered this 2 weeks ago on the very first day on a Saturday, and you have to wake up at 3 a.m. to order it. And then I got it yesterday, shipped.
I can't judge. I can't judge. I got up really early for TIFF tickets. I can't judge.
What time did you get up for TIFF tickets?
Not that early, but uh,
It must have
early
been
enough.
it must have been like midnight.
Oh God, no. The tickets were on sale at like 9 in the morning or
Oh,
something.
that's nothing.
I know, but still, I got up like it was a regular work day on the weekend. So
We'll save your TIFF stuff for the next episode. But so you went to actually let's start by congratulating Buffy St. Marie on winning the Polaris Prize this year. I think next year though we need to invert our predictions. So Dakota Arsenault, our associate editor, did what do you call it? Like a prediction piece where he got 9 Live in Limbo members and including an external Mike Bax from Lithium Magazine. Thank you so much, Mike, for inputting your opinion this year. And then he compiled scientifically by point score, like everyone would rank their albums, and then he would tabulate it, and we came up with Caribou as our predicted winner, but that did not happen.
well, I think it's a bit different because I think Dakota's intention was to have our personal picks, not who we think will win, but our personal picks on who should win. And it's kind of not our predictions, but it's a congregate
Of who we liked.
agreement. Yeah, it's more of an agreement. So it's more or less not a prediction of who we think should win, because if we wanted to do that, we'd play more politics into it. But
But even if politics were in it, I don't think any of us would have chosen Buffy.
no, even so,
Like, she came last. If you tabulate like the totals.
She came like second last, yeah.
Oh, so next year we should like just do how we usually do it and then invert the winner.
Well, how low was Tanya Tagaq last year? Which, speaking of which,
well, like last year, only Randall got it last year. Everyone else put Tanya pretty low, so it was the same. We could have just inverted it.
Possibly, but yeah, this is the second year in a row where a Native American actually won.
Native Canadian.
Native Canadian. Well, I mean America, as in the America as North America.
Oh, but, okay.
Yes. Yes, a Native Canadian won the prize. So, well, technically, Buffy St. Marie is. I don't know if she has an American citizenship, but I know she lives in the States. She's just Canadian raised, but yeah, which I think is great for the community, because here's another winner, and I saw how much progress came with Tanya Tagaq's win, because I went to her performance at
the Pan Am.
There we go. I lost the name of it. At the Pan Am game, it was like it happened last year at the Pan Am Games, and the turnout was huge for this.
What do you mean last year? It was like 2 months ago.
No, I was being facetious. I was
Oh.
I was making fun of the fact that I forgot what it was.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, this was only in like August, but yeah, no, it was a big turnout, and so many people came and loved and appreciated it. There were a few people who kind of were weirded out by this.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you that. So when you were there, you knew what to expect, and then obviously there would be people that did not know what was going on. And did you look at their facial expressions and how they were reacting to Tanya?
Some people were pulling faces. Some people were making fun of her wolf howling, but those people would just come and leave. Everybody else who stayed gave like a roaring applause, like they loved it and they got what she was doing. And there was a lot of people too. So I'm really glad, because it's a good push forward for both Native Canadians and experimental music. That's why I like the stuff like the Polaris. So
did you re-listen to Buffy after? Give it a second try.
I'm still not huge on it, but I can kind of get why she won.
I get why Tanya won. That was super refreshing. I don't know.
It was great, yeah.
I don't know. I put Drake to win this year.
I'm not a big Drake fan, but I actually put him really high because I was impressed with his newest mixtape. I'm not a big Drake fan, but like this is some of his best material. People might disagree with me, but this is some of his best material I've ever heard. Like, I totally get what he was doing on this album. Like, it's what he's tried to do on all of his albums, that kind of dreamy, interpersonal hip hop. But to me, it worked the best on this album, and I actually got what he was doing instead of listening to some of his other albums and kind of getting bored midway, you know.
Who did you rank as number one again?
I put Caribou.
Caribou, yes. I think most of you, the four of us did. Gilles LeBlanc, rock enthusiast, he put Buffy at number 2, which was the highest. And Mark Milner, who we met at Way Home, put her as number 3. Wait, hold on now. No. Put her as number 4. Dakota put her at number 3. So we weren't too horrible, but she still came last overall. I put her last. Sarah put her last.
She was second last, I think, overall, because...
Though Sarah's very notorious at picking the wrong winners for Polaris. She does not have a good history with that.
Oh, it's only been 2 years. Let's
subjective, you know? It's very... I don't agree with, like, awards for any kind of arts. It doesn't make sense.
I do and I don't. I'm okay with them existing, obviously, because I have a guilty pleasure for the Academy Awards, as frequent listeners would know by now.
But that means 9 people are losers.
That's
and how can you say how can you say Always is a loser? How can you say Caribou is a loser? How can you say all of these other amazing artists are losers? In my mind, if I had to run some sort of award thing, it would be like a playlist of the year thing. and you would award 50,000 to 10 people to make a playlist. That would make more sense.
That's actually an interesting idea.
I'm patenting that. Don't copy that.
You have to take this with a grain of salt. I remember Spielberg when he was announcing Best Picture at one of these Academy Awards. I don't know what year. It was some year. He went up and he said, "Here are the list of the past Best Picture winners," and he went on and on and on about like whatever films he said. He might have said Titanic. He might have said Ben-Hur. Whatever he said. But here's the most important part of what he said. He said, "Here are the past Best Picture nominees who didn't win." And he said Citizen Kane, Raging Bullet, all of these films that are considered the best of all time, which you could either see that as the Academy gets it wrong, or you can see it the way that I see it. Anybody who gets nominated is already a winner.
No, I hate that saying. Everyone who gets nominated is a winner. That's copying out.
It's different than like elementary school racing where you enter and you win for participation. It's different because these were nominated out of thousands of films by an Academy. It's different because
but those nominated ones should be considered like the winners. These are the 10 best films of the year. You can't just pick one of the best films of the year.
But the thing is, a lot of lists will still rank stuff. So even though they have a top 10, they still have a number one. Just think of it that way.
It's like comparing apples and oranges, though.
Not necessarily. Yes, there's a lot of different genres and stuff, but
did they give a reason why Buffy won? Like, I don't think they give reasons why certain artists like win the Polaris Prize.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Dakota. I have no idea because I didn't attend the ceremony. They might have, but I don't know.
Oh well, that's good. Good for Buffy. Good for Canadian music. It was a good year.
No, it was a good year, and even though Buffy was lower on my list, it was such a good year that it wasn't like she was god awful, like a 5 out of 10 for me or whatever. It was the strongest Polaris year I've been a part of.
I still think Always should have got something bigger. They need more recognition. I do like Always.
Always are too new to win. I'm surprised they got nominated at all, even though I think they're fully deserving of it. Because their career's so young.
But they're like the new Buzz Arcade Fire level type of thing that will get Canada recognized even more.
Oh, I agree that they're big, but I don't think they're Arcade Fire big. Like
not like Arcade Fire now big. Like when Arcade Fire was starting up and Neon Bible came out, and then that got the world's attention to Canada again. I think Always is at that kind of level.
No, even potential. Then I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, because Always is great for indie pop music.
Didn't they make your top album of the list last year?
Yeah, they made my list, but
like top 5 or something.
No, they were like in my top 10. But when Arcade Fire were big with Funeral, that was like critically massive. That was considered one of the best of the decade. That was way above and beyond, and that's considered one of the greatest Canadian albums of all time. Always put out a great, solid debut, like for sure, and it's definitely one of the best of the year. But I don't know.
I guess that's true. Yeah, Funeral is pretty timeless.
Yeah, no, Funeral's already on like Rolling Stone's top albums of all time. Like the top 500. It's pretty high up there. It's like 125 or something for a recent album. That's really high up there. No, there's no comparison, I say.
Yeah. Speaking of the Rolling Stone, they have debuted. I think they're the first to debut that the Pope's. Pope Francis is in America right now. He went to Cuba first, and now he's in New York, and he's going to Philadelphia today on Saturday, September 26th. And His Holiness is going to be making an album. Actually, kind of funny because we just talked about Arcade Fire. It's called Wake Up with the exclamation point. And it's Vatican approved.
I didn't even make that connection.
No, because don't they have a song called Wake Up?
No, they do. I didn't make that connection. I was like, where are you going with this? Is the Vatican on fire? I don't get it. I get it. Okay, yeah. I get it.
So basically they have the first track up on Rolling Stone, and they're just inputting his sacred hymns and excerpts from his speeches from multiple languages, and it'll be a progressive rock, prog rock album. So Radiohead will have something to worry about next year?
I think we'll all have something to worry about next month when it gets released, or in November, whenever it is. But as weird and silly as it is, I think it's cool because I don't want to make this a pun. He's the most progressive pope we've had in a very long time, and
He's the most progressive prog rock.
well, now it certainly doesn't help that he's doing a prog rock album, but that is so freaking weird. The Pope's doing an album. Anyways,
but
he's the most progressive, so I like the fact that he's out there doing stuff he wants to do while being a great example for this big culture and belief system that people have. Because whoever's Catholic has had quite a bad figurehead the previous time before.
Yeah, but now I think a lot of people are relooking at Catholicism because of this guy, and this guy is really good, Pope Francis.
We'll see what he's like when he's channeling Freddie Mercury, I guess.
But I think watch in the next few years, he's gonna probably say he's gonna do a collaboration with Disclosure and Drake or something like that.
It'd be funny if a Pope worked with a group called Disclosure, because that just makes a lot of sense.
DJ Pope Francis, or something like that.
All the way from South America, yeah.
Argentina. That's right. That's funny. That's hilarious. Anyways, so you and Sarah Ricks went to Riot Fest 2015 at Downsview Park. And how was it this year compared to last year?
It's almost the exact same, but
including the rain.
More. What's that?
Including the rain and the puddle of mud.
Yeah. Sadly, yeah. The ruination of shoes that was verbatim.
Which pair of shoes died this year?
My silver moon boots, sadly.
Oh, why would you wear something silver or light colored?
Because my throw around shoes I used to have actually broke, so I got newer boots for work, but they have like a specific material to them that I didn't want to ruin right away.
So did you have to throw them away now? Like now that they're all muddy, or did you actually clean them up?
No, they're fine. They're fine.
Oh, okay.
They don't look as nice as they ever did before, and they never will. But that's totally cool.
No. Okay, so how was this year? The lineup. You had the Prodigy, Weezer, Wu-Tang Clan, all these big bands.
Well, Weezer actually performed 2 days in a row. They performed 2 albums in full. Like, they performed Pinkerton the first day, and they performed the Blue Album the second day, which, if you talk to anybody who even remotely knows Weezer, they can tell you that they've had a rough patch ever since their reformation in the late 90s, but their best material was from their first 2 albums. Like, those are both 90s staples, no matter what they've put out since. Even though the album last year actually wasn't bad, it was a big improvement from whatever they've done years before. So this was a big treat, and I've seen Weezer before. They're usually pretty goofy, but they took these albums very seriously, and they performed them from start to finish with as many little details being included as possible. Like, even if they're awkward or weird, it was really nice. So that was a big highlight for me. And then you had Wu-Tang Clan, which was great. Love Wu-Tang Clan. I'm finally glad I got to see them live.
And I asked you if you had a choice between joining the NWA and Wu-Tang Clan. You said Wu-Tang because you had less of a chance to get randomly killed.
Well, NWA was yes, both groups are aggressive, but NWA was aggressive even amongst themselves. Wu-Tang Clan have had a lot of flack within their community, especially recently. Like, Raekwon and RZA haven't been on good terms, but they're not flat out insulting each other. Like, they're just openly speaking about how they're not happy with one another. Wu-Tang Clan's more of an actual community of togetherness, whereas NWA felt like, yeah, we're a gang, but if one of you steps out of line, we're throwing you out. It was freakier, which now it's different because everybody's older, I guess. Maybe that's why the Raekwon thing's more mature, but
at this point, I would like to say we did not forget about Dre. Is he still part of the NWA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, NWA broke up, but now they're doing that reunion tour or whatever, aren't they? Or it's rumored. I don't know. But yeah, he's supposed to be part of it.
Okay, cool. Dre, if you're listening, we still like you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Your
Come on this
newest
show if you
album
can.
Yeah, your newest album was great. And yeah, Sean loves Apple, so there you go.
Yep. And so you got to interview, I think this is probably like the biggest interview you've done so far, right? It's with Liam and Keith of the Prodigy.
Yeah, no, that was great. What I was gonna say earlier when I was talking about Godspeed, like one of my all-time favorites, this and this. The Prodigy I grew up on when I was a kid. As weird as that is, one of the very first groups I ever liked when I was in like grade one, because I had Big Shiny Tunes too, which that's going way back. They had all sorts of artists on there, which I ended up loving throughout my childhood. They had Blur, they had Marilyn Manson, they had Radiohead, they had Paranoid Android. That's a song that they had. Bush. They had all sorts of stuff like that, like typical '90s rock with that edge to it. And oddly enough, like the very first song on that compilation was "Breathe" by Prodigy, which, even though it's an electronic song, has that same kind of edge to it, because that's when they were experimenting with guitars on that album and the one before it. So I remember one of the first albums I bought when I was buying albums was "The Fat of the Land," which is a very successful album. Actually, I think it's sold millions and millions of albums worldwide. So they heavily affected my childhood, because I got into that album. I got into the one afterwards, even though it got critically panned. Always outnumbered, never outgunned. It was still a big part of my childhood, and I liked it a lot, And I got into this stuff before, so to be able to even see them live was a big blast to the past for me. But to be able to interview them, it was crazy talking to these guys, where my young self below the age of 10 would have never guessed that I would be talking to these people that slowly started shifting my music from the very first moment my music taste could be shifted. Apart from the fact that my parents got me into 60s music, this is the first time this was on my own, and it's surreal to be able to do that. I mean, like that's like a lot of people talking to Linkin Park, which you did actually.
That's
so
right.
So you know how it feels.
I know exactly how it feels. Okay, so that's a great lead up to this. So let's take a listen to your interview with Liam and Keith.
This is Andreas Babiolakis with liveinlimbo.com. I'm here at Riot Festival with members of the Prodigy. How are you both today?
Yeah, we're cool, man. Yeah, wicked. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's Liam H. Prodigy. Yeah, all good.
I am with Liam Howelett and Keith Flint, and you guys have been in the electronic world for decades. And you're here with your newest album, which came out in March. How has that gone so far? After all of these years, seeing another album out, dominating the world, how does that feel?
Feels great, I mean, we really were proud of this record. It's a very uncompromising album, this one. So on that basis, it's been received really well. We were really happy with it, and we knew it was an album we could take live, and probably more than any other album, taking the whole thing live is all the tracks have really gone down well, man.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what the we sort of set out to do was make sure that everything off the album can be played live, and being able to go on stage and switch tracks up, it keeps it keeps the spontaneity, and it just kind of keeps it banging for us, and it's good for the fans, and it's good for the band. One of my favourite albums yet.
Sounds good to me. And you were bringing up the whole live aspect of these albums. Since the beginning, your group has had this aesthetic to it, visually, live. How does this come to be? Like, how do you create a group with such an image? Was it something you created off the bat, or was it something that evolved as you worked with your music?
Everything happened naturally with this band, like with the music. We obviously knew what we wanted to be, what music we wanted to write, but I mean, as far as Keith really led his own way with the image, and like Keith's always been into fashion and kind of just the type of bands he was into and we were into. Do you know what I mean? Just I guess
had an image, didn't they?
Yeah, it has an impact. Do you know what I mean? So we never wanted to ever be like sort of like an electronic band that were faceless. Do you know what I mean? We like bands like, I come from like hip hop. The bands are like the Beastie Boys, Public Enemy. They were always very strong visual, sort of like the visual aspect is fucking important. Do you know what I mean? I'm not into bands that don't put the effort into like videos or artwork or stuff like that. I'm always into the bands that do put the effort into that stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's really important. But I mean, nothing has ever been contrived with us. Do you know what I mean? It's all happened really naturally, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's when you get asked a question like that, you understand where it's coming from, but you don't know where it come from. But I think that it's very much the same as the music, that you're very much influenced when you're younger. The bands, the music that drove you, and especially with like British youth culture, you had very defined groups that had like a specific look, but you had to find your own personality within it. And I suppose that's what we're doing in the band. We've all got our own personality within the band, but it's because we're from the same gang. We tell the same story, if you know what I mean. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of being inspired by youth, I don't usually say this because it's usually not true, but like, no biases aside or anything, I grew up on your music. It's one of the first groups I ever listened to back in like grade 2. I don't know what that says about me, but I grew up on Fat of the Land, which I was very, very... It changed all of the music I was into. And yeah, as you said, it wasn't just electronic music. It got me into like heavier stuff like metal. It got me into a little bit of hip hop. And having said that, because that was almost 20 years ago, we're back here and your group still has their finger on the pulse of electronic music. How do you keep it up to date with the way electronic music is now, and how do you actually view the way electronic music is now?
We don't really, but you know what I mean? That's the key, I think. But we don't really know what the key is. It's in actual fact, because we kind of rebel against it. We rebel against like whatever the latest thing is. We're kind of like pirates, We'll look in, take what we like out of a scene, and use it in our own music for our own benefit. And we're not interested in joining a scene like. And I say that because we've always been stood on the outside of things that have happened, and not wanting to be labelled. Do you know what I mean? It's like labelling and being a purist and all this nonsense it's no good for creativity. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, we've always tried to be real and just play the music live, and I don't know, we've just been able to keep it rocking on. But I mean, I guess it's the music that always drives it forward. I mean, like what Keith was saying earlier. I mean, you can't we don't want to be like just like a retro band or like a band that just is playing the old music. Do you know what I mean? If you haven't got new tunes, you may as well just go home. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, as long as we're still writing new music that's exciting and exciting people and us, we'll keep going.
The new music brings new blood and brings a new wave of interest, and that seems to always be coming from the younger generation. So the front row of our shows are always do you know what? It's funny that it's always been the same. We've always had a diverse age and look to the people that have been into us. But when the front row's always full of moshing, up for it kids, it's always that just drives you, and you realise that you're not like a dinosaur band getting sort of dragged out once a year as like a reunion thing. We tour hard because we enjoy it and because the buzz is there and the kids are there to listen to and come and see the show.
Now, that's musically, but in terms of the way things have changed technologically, I guess, just to wrap things up, again, your music has been pretty much in the forefront of electronic music since like early 90s even. Do you have a different approach maybe now? Because you say you tour often, so that, I guess, settles that. But do you have a different approach for maybe promoting the music or getting it out there now that, like, YouTube is big or, everything is online now?
Yeah, I mean, we try and rebel against that too, but as much as we could. But I mean, you have to sort of like join the internet revolution. Yeah, you can't just ignore it. But I mean, one of the things I've said recently is like, we don't think we want to do any albums anymore. Now that statement purely means because for us an album is something that takes like 4 or 5 years. It maybe takes time out of doing touring and stuff like that. We want to do EPs, like, so what that means is we'll be able to turn music around quicker, get it out there to fans. Do you know what I mean? Keep pushing the music into the live show so it keeps that fresh. And we feel that this is a really good way forward, and maybe the concept of the album is kind of like a bit of an old hat thing now. I think the way kids get music and what you were just saying about YouTube and Spotify and all this nonsense, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's fast food, do you know what I mean? It's like the quicker you can get this information to people, and that's the way it is now. It's the world we live in, do you know what I mean? But for us, that the way of doing new EPs and 4-track EPs and getting them out quicker is really exciting to us. It's an exciting thought.
Suits us better, because it's about feeding the live show, and we're not looking to write the track that's going to be played on every radio station. That's and we don't want to be a YouTube sensation. And we just want to our reward and what we're out to do is put music on the stage and keep rocking the audience. So that's. That's the job in hand, and as Liam says, that feels the best way.
Well, I won't distract you from that because you're going on in actually maybe half an hour or so. So I'll wrap things up. But thank you very much for this opportunity, and it was an absolute privilege.
And we're back. Okay, so they actually, I know that you mentioned that you were kind of nervous and anxious about this, but they turned out to be pretty down to earth, humble guys. Right? They were normal guys.
Yeah, it was fine. I got nervous because I saw this massive list of things I can't ask or can't do, which...
Oh, did they show you a list?
Yeah, Universal sent me one. But, yeah. I think I got nervous because it's the first time I've ever gotten that.
Was there anything funny on the list?
No, nothing too far-fetched. It just had no personal questions.
Oh, yeah.
Keep it about the music.
It's don't talk about orange juice or something.
Yeah, whatever it is. And, I got nervous because it's the first time I ever got that, and it's for a group that looks as tough as the Prodigy, but it's really nothing now, because now I get it. They've been in the music industry for decades. They probably get all sorts of unnecessary questions. This is for their promo as well, not just ours. They want it to be serious.
Makes total sense. How did it feel to be talking with Liam and Keith, in the flesh?
It was good. It was probably the most intimate, setting-wise, anyways, because I didn't have any PR people looking over my shoulder. It was just me in their trailer, and they were sitting inches away from me.
You got to go into their trailer? That's really cool.
Yeah.
Tell me what the trailer's like.
Just a typical trailer. There's just a lot of clothes hanging. There's this really small table for interviews.
No artwork or anything like that?
I don't remember, actually. I don't think so. I think we were in the wardrobe trailer, because they had a few. They had one for warm-up, they had one for wardrobe, they had one for makeup, because they've got makeup get-ups and stuff.
Liam's the mastermind, the architect behind it, and Keith is the face of the band, the singer.
One of the faces. Yeah, there's also Maxim, who wasn't there to interview, but he was there roaming around. I just don't think he wanted to be interviewed by anyone. But
Such
Yeah, no.
highly influential people, especially like to the world, and also you personally in your musical taste now.
Yeah, because again, they shifted my music from when I was a child to opening my mind to whatever I'm into currently, I guess, after 20 odd years, you know. But um, yeah,
Any takeaways from it? Like, what did you
yeah, I mean,
learn differently?
they're they're very self-aware and everything they're doing is calculated, which I guess you could have figured, but it's interesting to hear artists solidify that because it confirms that most artists know what they're doing. And
Most, yes. Hopefully.
yeah, most. Most I would say. And it's interesting knowing that this stuff that I heard when I was a kid, they basically said, yep, no, we did that on purpose. That wasn't just you. That wasn't just you just thinking that. And yeah, it was good. And I remember the people that I've told that I had this interview with, a lot of them freaked out. They're like, what? No, this is crazy because they grew up on them as well. And they're still massive fans. So
Good thing
their
you took
music
that
is so huge.
selfie or that picture.
Yeah, no, I asked well in advance because I did an interview with Frank Turner, which where you'll actually have an episode of that as well.
Yeah, our
And
next
he
one.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, he was whisked away. I was like, oh no, come back. And he was a nice guy and everything, but like, his PR was like, okay, no, next one. We
Oh,
we got to
wow.
whisk this along
Well, we'll
because there
save
were a
that for
lot
the
of
next episode. But for Liam and Keith, so you guys were in the trailer, and then when you asked them for the picture, they actually came out of the trailer to take that photo.
Well, no, they came out of the trailer because they had to do an in person
Oh,
on
okay.
camera
Yeah.
one, and that's where they were going to shoot it. But while whoever was setting up, they said, yeah, we could just do it right here. And their PR, no, actually, it was Stephanie from Universal who did it. Stephanie from Universal, who's lovely. Actually, I got a chance to meet her, and no, she's really nice, and she really takes care of the people that she's working with these interviews and such.
Thank you,
Uh,
Stephanie. Yes.
yes, no, thank you. You are very kind and generous. Yeah, she took the picture for us, and yeah, like we would wait a while in between interviews, and she came to check up on everybody. No, she did an excellent job, and um, yeah, it made a process which I don't know about you, but I find interviews nerve wracking a little bit, not because I'm starstruck, but because I want to do a good job.
Yeah, me too. Of
She made
course.
it comfortable. You know, she made it comfortable. So yeah, thank you again for that, and everything is highly appreciated.
Awesome. And where can all of our listeners find you, Andreas?
You can find me on Twitter at Andreas Babs.
You can find myself on Twitter at Sean Chin. You can follow the show at Live in Limbo. Use the hashtag Capsule Podcast to join in on the conversation. Please subscribe to our show in iTunes. Give us 5 stars and leave us some nice words in the review section. And as always, you can find the show notes at liveinlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.
Have a good one.